Hello, welcome back to Grow New Plants. Okay, today I'm going to do I guess this would be a third follow-up and probably be the last one I do on these. I can post pictures on Instagram after this, but this is with a Super Blue Liriope that I started out. I look back on my videos and I initially separated one of these pots on September 13th of last year. And this is July the 8th or 9th. I think it's the 9th, maybe the 10th. I'm not really sure. So I've taken these things and I put them, I separated 1 gallon and put it into 4-inch pots. And I think I initially did 10. One of them I just kind of did roots, so really 9 good ones. Then I transplanted about a month or 2 later, transplanted them into these 1 gallon Rootmaker pots. And so now it's been, I guess, 9 months total. And these things are pretty dang full again. And you can see some are better than others. And I don't know, I'm going to look at them and see what they look like when I start getting into them, but I'm going to divide at least some of them back up again. And then I'm going to put them back into Rootmaker, either 18 cell trays or 32 cell trays. I hadn't really decided yet. Depends on how big the roots and stuff I get are out of them, or how big each little plantlet after I divide them back up. So I'm going to set back up, and then we'll start cutting some of these up and dividing them. I'll kind of show you, I'll show you what these things look like originally. I'll go back and show you what the original pot looked like before I divided them at all. Okay, so I've gotten all these plants just out of that one pot now. I don't know if you can see all of them or not in there. There's a bunch of them. So I'm going to take them and I'm going to divide them back up, and then we'll get them planted into some smaller pots again. Okay, so here's one of them, and I'll show you. This is what my roots look like. And these Rootmaker pots are really good, man. Look at the kind of roots I get off these. All these little fine roots all the way around. These plants love these Rootmaker pots. Got some here leaves trying to come up out of the side of the pot too. So what I'm going to do, kind of like I did last time, I'm just going to gently work these around to see how much of the soil I can get out of here, until hopefully these things start just kind of falling apart into separate little plants. The thing that's going to be different the way I do them this time is when I did them the first time, I put them in regular square pots. I didn't use Rootmaker pots. I didn't have my Rootmaker pots with me then, so I wasn't able to use them. So this time, as soon as these go into smaller pots, they're going to go straight into Rootmakers, so they should actually do better than they did the last time. Just want to get as much of that dirt out as you can, and then you start getting to the roots. So here's one here. I just want to go in there. I'm going to give it just a little snip at the top, kind of separate it from everything else, and then very gently work that thing out and get as many roots as I can with that particular plant. These things, they're actually a little harder to divide because there's so many roots in here with that Rootmaker pot. So there's one right there. So I'll just kind of keep doing that. They should hopefully get easier. There's another one. Doesn't have as many roots, but I'm going to cut a lot of those little bitty roots off of this, but that'll still grow into another plant. That should be fine too. I'm going to get a ton of plants off this thing. I may just do one or two of these on this video, because this is going to be a lot of planting, not planting. Some of these are a little smaller than others. Some of these little bitty ones like this, I may put 2 in a pot. That's a nice one right there to separate. That's a good one there. That's got a lot of roots. That's got all those extra roots on there. We just go ahead and trim those off. We don't need all those. So let's see what we got out of that. I got one. Take these little ones aside. 1, 2, 3, 4 really nice ones. That's a pretty good one. 5, 6, 7, 8. So I got 8 out of that one. I'll go ahead and do one more pot. This one's not quite as full. That was one of the fuller ones that I had there. Whoa. There's a lizard in the bottom of that pot. Scared me to death. I don't think that's on the video, but had a lizard living down in there. There's one growing off to the side. It'll be fine. I can use that one. See these separate. Just see how many I get out of these 2 pots. Just kind of snip that right at the base. It allows us to pull out. That's a really nice one there. And then probably take, this is kind of one big one. I'm going to snip it right down the middle here. Just kind of cut with a knife down a little ways. There's another big one. And I may have ruined that one. That's another good small one right there. That one's probably not worth keeping, so I got another 1, 2, 3. Just got 4 out of that one. So I remember what I had the first time. I think 8. So I got 12 out of 2 pots. And I got, I think, 8 pots total. And see if I get an average of 4 out of each one, then I'm going to have at least 32 new plants. So tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and get my my soil and everything, and we'll go ahead and pot these up, and then I'll just do the rest of them off the camera. Okay, so I decided I'm going to go with one of these 18 cell trays for these, and I'm going to go ahead and plant what I have cut up, and then I'll come back and plant the rest of them off camera. I'm using my soil mix. This is a half peat moss, half perlite, and then I have a slow release fertilizer mixed in with it too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim these roots back, definitely prune the bottoms off, and then I'm going to come in, prune them back just enough where I can get them in my pots. Okay, so that's pretty good right there. So what I'll do is I'll fill in one of these pots. Here, I'll do one here, kind of here in the middle where you can see it good. I just put some dirt down in the bottom, and I'll get all my roots down on top of that. Then I'll come back and put some soil in around it. Just like that. Like I said, last time these things filled out the pots in less than a month, or around about a month. So hopefully they'll do the same thing this time. So I'll go ahead and get these other bigger ones. Trying to do this where you can see it good. These things got huge roots on them already. These bigger ones do. Put that one right here. So I'm going to end up, since I'm using these 18 cell trays, I'm going to try my best to get 36 different plants. And I'll have 2 18 cell trays, so I'll end up with 36 plants in about 9 months from what I started out with, which was a single 1 gallon pot. And these things will be probably ready to transplant up into 1 gallons again within a couple months. Maybe a month. The last time it was about a month, so it depends. You know, that was later in the year last year when I did that, but hopefully within a month again, these things will be ready to transplant back up to bigger pots. I'm just kind of randomly putting these things around here where you can see me doing it. And these roots I'm trimming off, it's not hurting that plant any at all. It's got plenty of roots to take back off. As soon as it gets watered in this new dirt, they'll start putting out new roots again and fill these pots out. So I'm going to take another one of my big ones. Bring these back a little bit where they'll fit in the pots good. And I could probably, if I wanted to, I could probably put these out to the 1 gallon Rootmaker pots. But I think overall they're going to do better. You've heard me talk about him before, but Carl Whitcomb, he's a guy that from Oklahoma State University. He does a lot of research, or has done a lot of research. He's the one that came up with these Rootmaker pots. And he has what's called a 4-inch rule, that you basically don't want to transplant anything any bigger than 4 inches from what the root ball currently is. So if I were to put these into a 1 gallon pot, they'd be more than 4 inches from the sides. I mean, you could do it, but I prefer to do it this way. Put them in these smaller pots, let them fill out their roots, and then from the 4-inch, there's really, I think 3 1/4, I think is what these sizes are. From that 3 1/4 root ball, once these things fill these pots out, and then they'll be ready to go into a 1 gallon pot. And it doesn't take that long. And when I put them into 1 gallon pots, and I'll put them more into a mulch and peat combo instead of this perlite. When they're young like this, still developing new roots, I put them in this peat mix for these smaller containers, peat and perlite, and then they'll go into a mulch and peat moss combination after that. So I think this one is good enough. That's got a pretty nice little root system, so I think it'll go fine straight in by itself. We'll start filling out and spreading. Yep, that's fine. Let's see what else we got. Okay, so all these need now just to be watered in. I'm going to take that seed head off. I don't want these things worrying about seeds right now. I want them growing. I debated whether to cut some of the growth off the top, and I decided against it. I didn't before, and they seem to do fine, so I'll prune them back in the winter. You know, after the winter growth kind of stunts them back a little bit, I'll come back and prune them then. But so that one in there, there's not a lot of growth on that one, but we'll see what it does. So I'll water these things in good, and then let them sit outside on my grow tables, and then hopefully in a month or two they'll start filling out. As soon as they start filling out these containers where I can pull them out and the root ball holds all the soil together, that's when I'll be ready, and I'll transplant it back up into 1 gallon pots. And so that's going to give me, hopefully I'll get 36 out of this, and that was out of a 1 gallon pot less than a year ago. So I essentially, for sure by September, which would be a full year, I'll have these planted up into 1 gallon. So I'll have taken one gallon plant, turned it into 36, hopefully, 1 gallon plants, and then come back and divide them again next year. Even if I just can divide them into 4s again next year, I'll be looking at well over 100 plants just off that single plant that I started out with. So anyway, I appreciate you watching. If you want to follow on my Instagram, I'll post the pictures in about a month or so and show you kind of what the roots look like on this. My Instagram page is linked down in the description. So anyway, I appreciate you watching. Please like, please subscribe, please share my videos. Thank you.